What's up, guys? It's Higgins in Japan here with another edition of the Friday video. And this week's Friday video, as you can tell, is not in my car. This is not my car. I don't know if you could tell or not, but this is not my car. This is my kitchen. And I forgot to bring my camera to work yesterday and normally make the Friday video on the way home from work. That being said, we're going to be doing something a little bit different here, but still want to be answering your questions about Japan. And so let's get into it, shall we? Alright guys, so in an attempt to bring some sort of sanity to the internet and sanity to YouTube and people that make videos about Japan, I wanted to make a top five list of things that you need to look out for when moving to Japan, or things that maybe you might not know, or things that I can just kind of point you in the right direction to get you started on your move to Japan. Because honestly, there's more than just five things. There's more detailed things that you'll have to figure out probably on your own, because each person's move to Japan is a different situation. But I thought that I would come up with a top five list, or a list of five things that were things that I asked people that live in Japan now. What were some things that you wish you would have known before coming to Japan, or some things that you wish someone would have told you about things that you'll need to do when you move to Japan. And so I got some really good feedback from people. So I wanted to share it with you guys because recently I've been in contact with some people that are moving to Japan, and as anyone should, they have a lot of questions. And so we'll get to that, because that's actually one of the things that I want to talk about at the end of the video, is asking questions. But yeah, so let's get on with it. And in no particular order of importance, number one, bring a lot of money. Bring lots of money. So when you first get to Japan, and so I'm going to say things like if you're a teacher or things like that, because those pertain to my situation, and all of those things will be slightly different, of course. But so as a teacher coming to Japan back in 2012, the company I worked for got an apartment set up for me. They had someone set up to show me around town, to get my bank account set up, to get utilities turned on, and make sure that contracts were signed for my apartment and all that good stuff. So that stuff I didn't have to worry about. But I had to pay for a month's rent in advance as like a deposit. I had to pay a cleaning fee to have the apartment cleaned before I moved in. And there were a couple deposits for utilities. And so up front, you're going to need money. Now, I don't want to give you a specific figure, because if I say, hey, bring X amount of dollars, and then you bring that amount and you need more, I can't do anything about that. So I'll tell you how much money I brought when I first moved here. When I first moved here, I brought about, I had about $5,000 American on me. So, the other thing to make sure that you realize is, as a teacher, or even as like an employee of something else, somewhere else, you get paid at the end of the month for your previous month's work. So, I got here in March, worked all of April, and at the end of April, I would have gotten paid for March's work. But I didn't work in March, so I didn't get paid for March. So all of April, even though I worked, I didn't get paid until the end of May. So see how that works out? Like, you get paid for the previous month's work. So if you don't work a month, you don't get paid. That's how that works. So that's why you need to bring money with you. A lot of money. Because you're going to have to be able to live for a few months without a salary, without any kind of money. And so, things like deposit for utilities and apartment fees and food and entertainment. And if you need to buy a phone or any of that kind of stuff, you're going to have money for, obviously. And so, yeah, you're not going to get paid right away. So, bring some money. Number 2, this was a good tip and something that I wouldn't have included in a top 5 list thing. And it's, you need to make a priority when you're packing things. So in Japan, you might find it difficult to find things like clothing and shoes and those sort of things in your size. Sizes in Japan are meant for people that are Japanese. Japanese body sizes are different than body sizes in other countries. So you will need to make a priority when you're packing of saying, okay, there's certain things that you need right away. You're going to need clothes in Japan right away, especially if you're working in a job where you have to wear a suit and tie every day or dress nicely every day. You want to have an abundance of those clothing items so you're not constantly looking for clothing in your size. Now, once you do get settled here, places like Amazon, Rakuten, there's a million sites on the website, on the internet, that you can, buy things and purchase things. And so, to take care of the things that you need now, and things that you need in the future, you can usually find. And kind of to add on to that, this was going to be number 4, but we're going to change it to number 3, is toiletries. Bring your favorite brands, because more than likely, brands are going to be different here in Japan. And so, you're not going to be able to find probably the exact same brand of things. Now, you will be able to find alternatives. You will be able to find things that you like maybe better. But those take time. You gotta adjust to those things. And so, yeah, so number 2 and 3 kind of go together. Prioritize the things that you're going to pack, and, bring toiletries that you're not going to be able to find in your new country here. Number 4, furnishing your apartment. Unless you're getting something like a Leo Palace that comes furnished, which, if you're coming over to Japan as a teacher, a lot of companies throw you into a Leo Palace. 1, because it's easy for them, and 2, it's easy for you if it's your first apartment here in Japan, because everything's provided. Bed, TV, a stove, a refrigerator. You don't have to go out and buy those things. Some of those things are necessary, but a really good thing to do, and especially if you're just getting here and you want to save money, is buy things or furnish your apartment with things from recycle shops. So, if you're not familiar, recycle shops are places that, say you have a couch that's in really good condition, but you're moving or you're remodeling your apartment and you don't want it anymore. You take it to the recycle shop, you sell it to them, they turn around and they clean it, make sure it's presentable, make sure it's a good quality, and they sell it to somebody else. And so things like, electronics, bookcases, my gosh, everything. Like, you can get anything that you want at a recycle shop. Clothing, toys, just everything that you can imagine. They make sure that they're usually in working order. Sometimes with electronics and stuff, I found that you can get stuff that, clearly says, hey, this doesn't work, we're just selling it for parts type thing. But if you need to buy things to furnish your apartment, recycle shops are a great alternative. And you'll save money. And if you don't mind something being used, I understand some people like, oh, I want, a new, couch or a new whatever. But you might not be able to afford that your first couple of months. So buy something at a recycle shop. And if you keep it in good condition, you can turn around and resell it once you're finished, using it. And tip number 5, again, this was one that I didn't really think of, and probably wouldn't have it included, but find a Facebook group for maybe the area, the prefecture, the town that you're living in, because a lot of foreigners start these Facebook groups. Now, sometimes they're pretty helpful. Sometimes they're helpful, where it's just like, why are you asking questions about how to do your laundry. Other than like, you know, like why are you asking questions about like how do crosswalks work? These are things that people have legitimately asked. And I kind of worry about. Anyways, we won't go off on that tangent. Kind of worry about their life here in Japan. But that being said, sometimes these Facebooks will be a good place for you to ask questions. Um, Now, sometimes you can find things that people are selling. A lot of people join these groups. There's a group that I'm a member of, and every time, around the end of the year, the school year, people are always selling their stuff because people are moving. And so, yeah, so sometimes you can find good, cheap stuff there too as well. But yeah, you can usually find some helpful advice from people that live in Japan, that are going to be in your area so they know maybe a little bit more specifics than certain other people might know. And you might even be able to find job opportunities on there as well. There's just, a whole host of things that you can find on a Facebook group for your area. All right, so this is the bonus section. Now, these were things that came into my mind after I made my list. And initially, things that I wanted to add. So, bonus number one, Google. Just Google search things. Quite honestly, you can find a lot of the answers to your questions about Japan if you just do a simple Google search. And I'm not saying that in like a rude, like, don't be like, you're an idiot, just Google search for it. Because there are some really good websites that will show you and give you tips and give you advice, and you can read things about other people's lives in Japan through these websites that maybe will help you. So let's go to 3 of those websites. I'm going to give you 3 websites, and the links to all of these will be in the description below. So if you need those, they're there for you. So, link number 1. This is the City Cost website. Now, full disclosure, I do write a blog here on the City Cost website, but, so maybe I'm a little biased, but whatever. This is a really good blog and a really good website of people that live here. Hey, there's Nobita. People that live here in Japan, and they can write anything that they want to write about their experience in Japan. So here we've got a section under living, what it's like to live in Japan. Food. What kind of food is there available in Japan? Because you might not know. It's pretty much everything. But, maybe you're looking for a specific restaurant. What are some good shopping places? What are some good banking and loans and credits? All that kind of good stuff. What's education like in Japan? What's the medical situation like in Japan? If you're into fashion, straight up, there's fashion blog. If you want to know about transportation, stuff about transportation. Another really cool thing is you can just ask questions about life in Japan. And so if you ask a question, maybe I'll answer it, or maybe somebody else will answer your question about what it's like to live in Japan. So check out City Cost, ask some questions about living in Japan. Say what's up to Nobita, he's a cool dude. And website number 2, japanguide.com. This is another website, has a lot of really good information, a lot of really good articles about living in Japan. You can do searches by certain areas. So if you're going to be living in certain areas, you've got that. You've got certain interests. Do you have certain interests about life in Japan? Maybe it's festivals, maybe it's castles, maybe it's temples. You can check all that kind of stuff out. Really good before you go section on what you need to bring to Japan. Good stuff. And then some news about life in Japan. And the third website is probably like the most popular website about Japan, gaijinpot.com. You can find jobs here. That's how I found my job here in Japan. Study. Well, do you want to study Japanese? Do you want to come to school in Japan? Traveling, apartments. Like, it's just everything. What's happening in Tokyo for February 15th to the 21st? I don't know, but I bet if you go to the website and click on that link, they'll let you know. So these are 3 good websites that are going to help you out with your move to Japan. All right, and bonus tip number 7, technically number 7, ask questions. And I kind of brought this up a little bit at the beginning of the video. Ask questions about Japan. Ask questions about life in Japan. Ask questions about your work situation. Ask questions about living, cost of living. Ask as many questions as you can about life in Japan. If you think you're asking too many questions, don't think that, because something that I want to touch on quickly here, if you're getting a job and someone is hiring you to come to Japan, they should answer your questions about Japan. They should be answering your questions. I mean, you packing up your life and you moving to another country is a big deal, and they need to answer your questions. So ask questions. Ask me questions. Ask people that live in Japan questions. Find people that make videos on YouTube and ask them questions about their experiences and what it's like. Everything's going to be different. The things that were important to me before moving to Japan are going to be different to you, are going to be different to other people that make videos that live in Japan. So ask questions. So that's what you need to do. Those are 5 tips plus 2 bonus tips, which is 7 tips. I can math. I don't know about you. But in any case, hope you enjoyed this edition of the Friday video thing. If you have questions for me, head over to facebook.com/Higgins in Japan. Ask me questions there. Send me messages. Links to everything that I talked about in the description below. And hopefully these things will be a help to you. Now, if you're somebody that already lives in Japan, what are some things that I missed? Let me know. What are some things that you would include in a top 5 list of things about Japan? And maybe make your own video. Help out your subscribers, because as a YouTuber, as somebody that has some sort of following, and people that watch my videos, I find it my responsibility to inform you guys about Japan and be as helpful as possible, because otherwise my videos are just going to be about cat cafes. Well, that actually sounds like a really good idea. I think I'm just going to change my whole channel to just like Higgins in Japan versus cat cafes. Maybe I could just go to like every cat cafe.